Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today I'm sharing with you a Thunderbird aka Warpath garage kit that I just painted up for somebody. Now this is a one of a kind. It was sculpted by William Valdez aka Willart Sculptor, and it is an absolutely amazing job. I absolutely had fun painting this up, and it's an amazing sculpt. The client actually had this commissioned. He had it printed with ownage. This is the actual ownage print, and it is not up for grabs. It's not up for sale. So sadly, if anyone's looking for a copy or a kit, it is not being produced. It's a one-of-a-kind, which I think is actually pretty cool. And I like to see more people do that, where you hire somebody to do something and you're the only one that owns it, which is kind of cool. So hopefully, with 3D sculpting and printing these days, we'll see more and more of this stuff as time goes on. But it's actually an amazing sculpt. I love the pose on him. It feels like a old school bone design statue, but just pumped up with amazing anatomy and detail compared to the old days. And you know what it is? I guess it's just I'm more of a fan of museum poses than anything. And I would love to see this statue next to like sideshows like Colossus or Juggernaut or something, because he just screams like one big badass mutant that would work great with the team. Now I'm not a big XMen collector, so I don't have any of the sideshow stuff or any other statues to pop out to look next to him. But I'm pretty sure the person who gets this will pop it in their collection. It'll end up on like some of the Facebook groups here and there. Now, I did do a garage kit review on this a while back on my channel. You could go and hunt that down if you want to. He comes with 2 torsos. His head is separated. The feathers do come out. I didn't glue them in, but I didn't magnetize them either because I'm not really sure. I was worried about magnetizing them and they might snap out, so I left them loose, but they sit in fine. The upper torso is magnetized at the waistline, as you can see here as well. He also did have an extra base for the torso to sit on the side. And then the legs go into the base. So not many pieces, except there's 2 flaws on the item that I'm not a fan of. Well, not really flaws. It's just something I sort of had to correct. So you can see how this part goes on his hips, but when you have this upper torso in, it's not. So if you're not careful the way you put them in, or if I didn't sand down those hand knuckle areas, what would happen is when you put that torso in, it would scrape up the paint. And then when you pop out the torso and you put this one on here, you would see scrapes over here. Like right over here, there's a little bit of a nick. That's because what happened is I turned the torso by accident when I put it in to show the client. So I have to fix this up when I get a chance. So that's the only downside. So I told the client, I said, look, the best way to fix this is on these 2 hands, pretty much sand them down. So this way, they don't actually touch the torso. So that was kind of what I came up with. So I'm not actually going to swap this torso in for the video. I'm going to leave the client to do that on his end if he wants to take pictures and post them on Facebook. I just want to give him a clean statue, and I told him that I have to sand down these hands as best as I can so it doesn't scrape this stuff. Now the other thing that Ownage did, which I don't understand why they did this, I'm not sure if it was the client who said it or if it was Ownage cut it, but either way, what they did is for the belt buckle, they actually gave the separated. And you have to put this belt buckle on here or on there when you swap out the torsos. I would have thought that they would have cut this area over here for each one, and you can put this in and out and it wouldn't be a big deal, but for some odd reason, that's what they did. So, since I only had 1 belt buckle, I added a magnet and I sanded it down so it doesn't scrape up because it was super, super tight. So I sanded down the eagle as much as I could so it just snaps in for each one. So those are the only 2 flaws of the whole item that I saw. It's not the end of the world, and it's not like a break the bank, but that was it. So when I was painting it up though, I had to be very, very careful of the tassels in the upper arms, because these things, masking them with silly putty, if you're not careful when you pull that silly putty out, you could snap one of these things off. I'm not really sure why Ownage glued everything together, but they did. So I didn't have much say on that stuff. I would have loved to have been able to paint everything on my own and then glue it on my own. But I did what I did, and I had to deal with it on that end. So all in all, it worked out pretty well. Now, the best thing of this statue is the face sculpt. I really love the face sculpt on here. He just screams Native American warpath. I love the cheekbones. I love the chin. It almost feels like T-Hawk in Street Fighter as well, which I kind of like. So, I mean, it's just an amazing sculpt, and it worked out really, really well. So, The anatomy is great too as well. The upper chest, the body, the torso, the legs, the muscles, everything just looks really, really well done. I love this pose anyway compared to the ones on the hip. I just love this pose looking at like that angle. It just looks like such a badass. It's going to look really good in the X-Men collection. Now, as far as paintwork goes, what I wanted to do was I mixed up a batch of a skin tone, and I wanted to give him more of that Native American, you know, tanner, reddish looking skin. So I kind of just darkened it up a little bit more. So this way the skin is not like just out of the bottle. And you can see what I did on that. So I tried to give it a little bit of realism, you know, the way I normally paint, but without going too crazy. Now, he has veins on his hands and arms. Now, I'm not really a fan of superhero statues, unless you really want to go that route of trying to paint it super realistic and have the veins like red and blue and really popping out and really being potent. I did a base coat of skin tone, and I added a very thin wash of blue and reds on the veins, but then I started painting over it. So those red and blues are sort of hinted in the veins, but they're not so potent as if you really wanted to make it pop. It's just a personal preference, and that's the way I paint. But you know, if you're a fan of having the veins pop out on your items, more power to you. I'm just more of like a superhero fan where I like to feel like he almost jumped out of a comic book, but not being too realistic, but not being too cartoony. So that's kind of just what I do. Now, onto his outfit. I wanted to break it up. I didn't want it to be so potent like a lot of the old artwork where his tassels are bright red, the center of him is bright red, it's bright blues and bright blues on the boots. So what I decided to do was, and the client liked it, is the red in the center is a nice bright red with mahogany shading, some browns. Same thing with the masks, you know, make the eyes pop out, the thing, you know, kind of match the outfit. But for the tassels, the headgear, and also the tassels on the boots, what I did is more of a brownish mahogany red leather look because I wanted them to sort of drop out of the figure. I didn't want them to really just, you know, really just jump out at you. I wanted that chest red to jump out at you more than the arms. And I kind of like that a little bit better. So if that was a bright red with the center of him, it would just be too much, I think, you know, especially with the gold and the blue and everything. So as far as the blue goes, it's pretty much a nice bright blue. There's another darker blue in there, and it's a brown shading, so it's not black shading. It may look black, but it's like a raw umber in there. So, and also a little bit of a purple too. You don't want to go crazy black shading in blues because it just muddies it up. As for his boots though, it may be a little hard to see, but they're actually a shade darker than the main outfit. So what I did is, after I did all the blue, what I did for the boots is I mist over a lot of browns on the boots, because I really wanted the boots to be a little bit darker too. I didn't want your eyes to come down to here unless you were looking at the X. I think if I was going too bright between the X on the base and the everything, it would be too much. I wanted to give him more a superhero outfit, but not super crazy in the sense of making everything bright colors. As far as his gold too, that is Alcad pale gold, straight out of the bottle, no clear coats, nothing, because they and even on the bottle it says it does not need to be clear coated. The only time I clear coat this is when I want to do like Wonder Woman armor to give it that shinier look. But for him, I think just the pale gold right out of the bottle gives it like a dulled metal look without it being super bright. So that's kind of really the paint up. Like I said, I would swap out the torso, but you'll find that on Facebook groups probably. But all in all, it's a really great sculpt. I had a lot of fun working on it. I hope more people start doing stuff like this because it's really going to be cool to see people have a lot of one-of-a-kinds in their collections without, you know, multiples and stuff like that. So people will start having really unique stuff hopefully down the line as 3D sculpting goes. So let me know what you guys think. I had a lot of fun painting this up. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.